Our second scripture reading comes from Matthew 16:13 through 20. Now hear our lesson. Jesus came to Caesarea Philippi. Then he put this question to his disciples: Who do people say that the Son of Man is? John the Baptist, they replied. Others say Elijah. Others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. What about you? He asked them. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, You're the Messiah, he said. You're the Son of the living God. God's blessing on you, Simon, son of John. Answered Jesus, Flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you. It was my Father in heaven. And I've got something to tell you too. You are Peter, the rock, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell won't overpower it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you tie up on earth will be tied up in heaven, and whatever you untie on earth will be untied in heaven. Then he sternly ordered the disciples not to tell anyone he was the Messiah. So our topic today has been identity, names, and how our calling is associated with those. Matthew 16:13 through 20 talks about a very important name and calling, Jesus Christ, the Messiah and Son of God, and the calling of Peter to build the church through him. For context, Matthew 16 is where the Sadducees and Pharisees are asking for a sign that Jesus is the Messiah, and then Jesus tells the apostle to watch out for the yeast or teachings of the Pharisees and Sadducees, and then Matthew 16:13 through 20 happens, and that's where Jesus is asking who he is, and Simon Peter answers. In the text, there are three main points. One is that because Peter could correctly answer Jesus' question of who am I, Peter had the power to control everything on heaven and earth. The second is that the reason Peter was named Peter is because it means rock, and that's what Jesus called Peter. The really important thing we can get out of the passage is that Jesus wanted to know what his disciples had to say about him, because they were his peers. This doesn't necessarily mean that humans are or were equal to Jesus, but what it does mean is that Jesus really wants to know what we think about him. So why does Jesus care about what we think of him? Because he cares about us. So if he cares about us in general, he will care what we think, and part of that is what we think about him. The second point was that Peter had the power to control everything because he could correctly answer Jesus' question, Who do you think I am? It was God-given knowledge, and Peter was able to control the things on heaven and earth. My third point, Peter was named Peter by Jesus because Peter means rock, and Jesus wants to build his church on a firm foundation. Peter is the man for the job, therefore he is named rock. So in conclusion, Jesus wants to know what we think of him because he cares about us, and because he cares about us, he will care about what we think.